started here. All right, I want to welcome you all to creating a lean, mean marketing machine. We have Rob Stutzman from SCORE Boston. He's been a mentor and currently a subject matter expert with our chapter for a while now.
Yeah, it's been a few years.
Yeah. I was like, I don't remember how many years for sure, but anyway, so I want to just start off talking about SCORE just real quickly. We offer work on a few different things. We offer training, and I definitely encourage you to check out our watch for our newsletter and check out our website for all the upcoming trainings. We will be doing all kinds of different topics up through the middle of December, and then we'll restart again in January. And we've got a lot of great options for you to sign up for right now. The most important thing that SCORE does is mentoring. Mentoring is free and confidential. And our mentors are volunteers that come from all different backgrounds. They have expertise and experiences and knowledge that they want to share with you. A lot of people ask me, what is a session like? Most sessions run around 30 minutes to 45, maybe up to 60 minutes. The first session is an exchange of information to find out what the client's goals are, what their challenges might be, and a plan will be formulated. Sometimes other mentors are brought in, and you can sometimes have a team of mentors that are working on your behalf to help you reach your goals. I'm often asked, do I need to have my business already up and going before I come to SCORE? No, you do not. You do not have to have a business plan. You can just have that twinkle in your eye, so to speak. So you can come to us at any point in the mentoring process. If you already have a mentor, definitely reach out. Like I said, we have mentors with all different experiences, and if maybe your challenges and your goals have changed, we can bring other folks in to assist you. To get a mentor, you can go to one of the websites. I will put those in the chat for you to access. You can also at those websites find all kinds of tools and templates in the library. I strongly encourage you to shuffle through that, or you can just put a little quick note in the chat, and I'll make sure the correct chapter reaches out to you. Today, I think we're going to go ahead. I have Q&A, and you're welcome to put questions in the Q&A tab. You can also put questions in chat. We'll work from either one today to get your questions answered. And we will be answering questions throughout the presentation. So please feel free to post those questions related to what we're talking about. If you need clarification on anything. We will offer the opportunity at the very end. If you'd prefer to ask a question out loud, we can do that as well. But we'll go through that as we get to that point. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my share. I'm going to turn it over to Rob, and it's all yours.
All right, Teresa, thank you very much. Let me bring up my presentation, put it on slideshow. All right, good afternoon, everybody. We're so glad that you have taken time today to come on our webinar and to interact in the topic of marketing. As Teresa mentioned, I've been involved with SCORE for a few years, and I recently have moved into a position called a subject matter expert, and the subject matter that I'm expert in is in the area of marketing. That's come from a wonderful career that I had at Verizon and MCI before that, where I led global teams on marketing initiatives and started out in sales and then migrated from sales over to marketing and had just a wonderful time. Verizon is a terrific company to work for. And when I retired, I wanted to have an opportunity to give back, and I had always heard of SCORE and thought, gee, I'd be interested in volunteering with them, and I have, and it has been a wonderful experience. And recently, I've had the honor of being the marketing chair at our local chapter, so an opportunity to just kind of apply some of the things we're going to be covering today. So welcome. We want to make this interactive. We want to hear from you that are out there. So why don't you in the chat, let let me know, what would you hope to get out of the webinar today? And also, what's your company's product or service? I'd like to have an understanding of who my audience is, and if you would just do that, I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, well, while you're doing that, Teresa is going to be putting up a poll, and the poll is going to ask the simple question, which sales and marketing methodology do you currently use right now? Are you using a highly structured marketing plan? Do you employ the spray and pray? That's where I just do everything and hope something comes out as a result. Do I do the smile and dial? This is not done as much as today as it was in the past, but smile and dial in the past was I'd pick up my phone, I would just make multiple phone calls and hope that something would come out of it. Maybe I'm doing it by the seat of my pants, meaning I've really no plan and I just kind of address things as they come along. Maybe I'm using the DMAIC methodology that we're going to talk about today. Some of you may be even wondering, is there a methodology? And you may really have come to the call because you don't have any kind of a marketing methodology that you use at this time, or maybe you have something else. And if you're using something else, we'd love to know what that is. So why don't you go ahead and fill out that poll? And while you're doing that, I'll take a look at the chat.
And yes, the chat is now working. If you guys didn't catch that if for some reason the chat had gotten turned off for participants, so you should be able to add your information now.
Thanks, Teresa. Appreciate that. Okay, so there's someone out in the audience that conducts writing classes for kids and marketing to parents, and they're looking for any new marketing ideas. That's great. How about some of the rest of you? What does your company do, and what do you hope to get out of the session today? You can just go ahead and put that in the chat. Teresa, is it good to kind of close out the poll at this time? Have we gotten a good amount of responses? Okay. Great. All right. We have a very honest audience here today. Thank you for filling out the poll. You are in good company as we talk to clients out there as part of SCORE. When the subject turns to marketing, our clients have been so busy with getting their businesses up and running operationally that very often they just have not had the opportunity or taken the opportunity to spend time thinking about marketing and marketing planning. And so as a result, it ends up being kind of a seat of the pants operation as far as their marketing efforts. We have a client, we have someone on the call here that does building and repairing of homes for low-income people out in Western Mass, and they're a nonprofit. They'd like to learn how to do killer marketing on a shoestring budget. Okay, so sounds like a webinar in and of its own. All right, let's move along here. Okay, get my slide to advance. Okay, when it comes to marketing and marketing planning, it falls down into many camps, but there's kind of two common camps. People lack marketing planning sometimes because they lack goals. They don't know what they want. They don't know where they want to go. They don't have an aim. They're aimless. There's a famous sales and marketing guru by the name of Zig Ziglar who said, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. And so it's important to have a goal. It's important to have a goal in life. It's important to have a goal for the business. Well, in marketing, it's also important to have a goal. Others lack direction. What that means is that they're doing things and they're very active, but it's kind of like throwing spaghetti against the wall. They're doing a lot of different things, hoping that something will stick. So what they do is they don't lack the energy, they don't lack the activity. What they lack is direction and kind of a focus on their business and where they should be taking themselves from a marketing perspective. What we're going to be talking about today is a methodology that actually came out of manufacturing. And if you think about manufacturing makes products. They put those products out for sale. Well, when they're processing those products, what they're looking to do is to create as many products with as least amount of defect as they can. And because a defect costs them money, it costs them business. So I'm going to put out a product with it so that they're always looking at processes within the company. How can I manufacture something in a more streamlined fashion than I am today? Well, marketing has its own processes. It starts out by identifying an opportunity. You probably, within your business, before you started your business, were looking out across your sphere of influence, and you saw an opportunity. You said, you know, if I could do this, that, or the other, I could really be successful in my business. And so you were out there, you identified an opportunity, generally because of an unmet need. There was something out there that people needed, but it didn't get met. Well, then you analyzed it. You analyzed your market, you defined it, you size it, you understand the key trends, you maybe segmented your customer base, you understood what their purchasing drivers are and what the purchasing barriers are. So you did some analysis. Maybe you did a competitive assessment. You look at those around you that were doing similar things to you. What were their core competencies? And what does the competitive landscape look like? And how easy is it for new entrants to come into the market and to be successful? You then went back, you took a look at your solution, you took a look at your strategy, and you wanted to optimize the solution and strategy, and you wanted to position it in such a way that you could gain an ROI, you could gain a return on investment. And so you created models, you created sales models, and then you further honed your optimizing of your solution and strategy. You did that through forecasts and additional sales models. You maybe set up pro forma financials. You looked at the risks and uncertainties, and you looked at the financial viability. So marketing is not an event. Marketing is a process, and it's a process of movement. And what you want to do is you want to move your customers out there from being in the status of a prospect to becoming a customer to becoming a trusted partner or a trusted advisor. You really want to get a strong relationship with your customer base out there, and that's done through a process. Okay, what are we going to do today? Well, today we're going to define DMAIC. DMAIC has 5 elements to it. It has 5 phases. It has the define phase, the measure phase, the analyze phase, the improve phase, and the control phase. And if you stay with me till the end, we've got a great offer at the end of our presentation today, so stay tuned. So as I mentioned, you've got define, you've got measure, you've got analyze, improve, and control. What separates DMAIC from other methodologies, particularly the seat of the pants methodology, is that it's a data-driven process improvement methodology that focuses on properly identifying the problem, utilizing data to determine the root cause, developing and implementing the solution, and verifying that the solution continues to be effective over time. So it's a highly disciplined approach that moves in different phases. And this, by the way, this process can be used from the smallest of the smallest projects to the largest of the largest projects that are out there. It's the methodology holds true whether you're a startup business or whether you're a large enterprise business that's out there. The benefits of DMAIC is that it helps you understand the problem that's impacting your current state before you find a solution leading to a future state. You'll hear a lot about current state and future state. The current state is the way things are right now. You could be in a position right now where you have no customers. Your future state is to be in a position where you have lots of customers. You could be in a position right now where your current state is that your sales numbers are trending downward, but your future state is to get those sales numbers to trend upward. This methodology helps you set a goal. It helps you think about where you want to aim and what you want to do. It enables you to measure success or failure. Metrics is very important to the process to understand at any given time where you are positionally. It helps you get to root causes. Any issue or challenge that a business is faced with has at its core a root cause. And so with some very simple exercises, you can very quickly get to the root cause of whatever pain your business is feeling at the moment. The process enables you to think outside the box. The improve phase is a wonderful phase where you just think, what would I do if there were no barriers? What would be some of the things I would do? It installs guardrails to ensure sustainability. And it's a proven discipline process. And what I like best about the methodology is that when you succeed, you know exactly why you succeeded. And when you fail, you know exactly why you failed. Many times there's people in business are seeing trends and things are trending not in the right direction, and they don't know why. They can't figure out why is it that things are trending downward. Well, this methodology can help you understand at any given time why you're succeeding and why you're failing. The first phase is the define phase, and there's a key element to this phase, and that key element is the project charter. And the project charter is really the most important element of the methodology because it includes project scoping. What it does is it works you through a process where you think about where you are, where you want to go, and how to define a project to get you there. And most projects that people take on are usually scoped too broadly. You know, they're trying to boil the ocean out there. And so defining it through a project charter gets it focused on where you want to go, and it can really help in the planning phase. It helps you to focus on one area versus the whole enchilada. Again, you can't do everything all at once and all at the same time. You have to focus. You have to focus on an area, give it that effort, and see how that succeeds. Then you can move on to another area after you've done that. It comes with a business case, which is the reason for improving the process. And keep in mind that charters evolve. You'll set up a charter, you'll understand where you want to go, then something will come into the process that will cause it to have to shift. And so the charter will have to change. And so there is an element of flexibility associated with a charter. The elements of a charter, it includes a problem statement. It has measurable goals and objectives. It has risks and constraints, and it has schedules and deliverables. Here's a sample of a particular project charter. You first define what is the business need. And again, the business need, if it's in marketing, might be to increase sales. It might be to increase leads. It might be to increase awareness. Then you address, you define how the business problem will be addressed by this project. This is where you put a brief description in about the business problem that's being addressed by the project. The problem statement is where you identify the problem and put it into a statement. The goal statement is where you state the goals of the project. The business case logic is where you put in the logic behind the business case. And the project why is where you put the benefit of moving from your current state X to the future state of Y. For instance, increasing sales from X% to Y%. The scope is where you say this is what's going to be included in the project, and this is what's going to be excluded in the project. And finally, you put in a 12-month financial benefit. And if you have a way of measuring what that financial benefit will be in the 12 months, you want to put that in your project charter as well. So an example here is I need to increase sales from $600 a month to $1,000 a month. And I need to increase sales to, and the reason I need it is because I need to increase sales to offset the cost of running the business. The problem statement may be that sales have stagnated at $600 a month, and I need to increase it to $1,000 a month. The goal is to increase sales by selling 20 more items per month. The manufacturing costs have risen and I need more sales to remain profitable. The project Y is increasing sales to $1,000 a month will put my business on a growth trajectory. And the scope is I'm going to focus on the items I'm selling online, and I'm going to exclude the items I'm selling at markets right now. Before I go on to the measure phase, is there any questions that people have? Go ahead and put that into the Q&A if anything that I've covered so far stimulates any questions on your end.
You're also welcome to use the raise your hand icon, and we can allow you just to ask your question out loud if that's helpful.
All right, why don't we continue on here? The next phase is the measure phase. The key elements of this phase is to build a factual understanding of existing process conditions and establish a baseline capability level. You want to understand how to identify critical variables and how to collect appropriate data. And you want to identify the patterns in the data and develop a measurement process that is sustainable. Essentially, what you want to have out of this phase is to know what your baseline is, because everything you do from this process going forward is going to be to improve your baseline. And so it's very important to know what your baseline is currently. And as far as systems that could be used to measure, there's lots of measurement systems that are out there. It could be if you're using a CRM system can very often, customer relationship management system can very often give you an indicator of how many sales appointments you're getting or how many sales calls you're getting. There's a lot of accounting software out there that will give you what your sales numbers are from a revenue perspective. You can utilize Excel as a tool. What you want to do is you want to find a system that enables you to establish what your capability level is at the beginning of the project, which is your baseline. You build a factual understanding of existing. Oh, sorry. Let me move on to my next one here. Okay, I'm having a hard time advancing my slides. There we go. So for example, you could currently be receiving 100 leads a month from your website, and you're able to get those key metrics from Google Analytics and your CRM system, for instance, HubSpot. Your current pattern fluctuates each month, but you will gather the key metrics from your internal systems on a weekly basis, and you'll set 100 leads per month as your baseline for growth. And so baselines can be items such as revenue, it could be sales, it could be appointments, or it could be number of customers, whatever is meaningful to you. Obviously, at the end of the day, revenue is going to be key because revenue is what sustains the business. But there may be some other indicators out there that lead to revenue that should be being focused on. The analyze phase, this is the phase where you start to develop theories of root causes, and you confirm those theories with data. You identify the root cause or root causes of the problem, and you can use a couple of analytical tools. The first analytical tool is called the Fishbone Diagram. The Fishbone Diagram, what that does is it takes a look at, again, what is your pain that your business is facing right now, or the challenge or the issue that your company is facing right now. And it probably can be broken down into these 6 areas. It could be a material issue that's going on within your business. It could be a measurement issue going on. It could be a methodology or methods issue going on. It could be machines and systems. It could be environment. It could be people. So what this exercise does, it allows you to take a look at what your issue is, and to look at it from the perspective of these different categories, and to see that maybe in the materials area, they're not available when needed, or the advertising costs are impeding the progress. And the methods, it could be that the website is cumbersome and I need to focus on the website. In the environment, there could be, like it is right now, a potential recession going on. There's just an overall downturn in business that is impacting the environment that your business is part of. It could be a people issue. It could be that you're not visible enough. The people are not finding you. And so looking at this and starting to see where the majority of reasons are coming from gets you close to your root cause, and helps you understand more deeply what is causing the pain, because that will help you then understand how to alleviate the pain. The other little exercise you can do is called the 5 whys, although you see 6 in the slide right here. But it's where I'm sorry, there's 5 in the slide right now. You start out with the problem. Why are we not selling more? Well, we're not able to produce more. Why? Because we have reached our production capacities. Why? We do not have enough developers. Why? We have not used the budget for training. And why? The CFO cut it in order to save money. So you can see that with each why, there's a progression to try to pinpoint the issue, and to think about, okay, here's my problem. Here's what I'm facing right now. Well, why is that? And keep asking yourself why over and over again for at least 5 times, because that will help you to, again, start to pinpoint and hone in on what your root causes are. The improve phase is really the fun phase. It's when you've worked yourself through, I've defined my project, I've set up my measurements and my metrics, I've analyzed, I've understand where my root cause is. Now I'm ready to move into the improve phase. And this is where you develop and implement and evaluate solutions targeted at the verified root cause. It involves brainstorming and creativity and risk analysis. Oftentimes, people want to jump right to the improve phase. They want to bypass the define and measure and analyze and go right to improve, because that's fun after all, and I can be creative. Well, if you bypass those other phases, you could be doing things that indeed are very creative, but they're not going to hit the target. They're not going to, it's going to be doing something that is really not addressing the issue that your business is faced with. So working through those other 3 phases sets you up and helps you to move into the improve phase. As I mentioned, it involves brainstorming. If you're with a group of people, you could have everybody around a table. You could have a round robin where you just kind of go around the table asking for ideas. It could be freewheeling, like popcorn, just whatever comes to mind. And what you want to do is you want to gather as many ideas as possible in a given time. And the way you can generate ideas is to say, you know, I would do X if Y was not an issue. So I would, you know, I would advertise on television if budget was not an issue. Or, you know, I would advertise flying a banner behind a plane if budget was not an issue. Just, you have to let your mind just roam and just go crazy. And what you want to do during this phase is to not evaluate any of the ideas. All you're doing right now is you're getting it down on paper, and you're recording those ideas. And what might seem outlandish today can actually turn out to be commonplace tomorrow. You know, you think about the example of ride sharing, you know, Uber and Lyft. You know, at one point in time, that was just merely an idea in someone's mind. Maybe they had a few inklings as to what they wanted to do. Maybe they even wanted to see where it wanted to go. Well, you know, they sat down, they brainstormed, and what you have today is something that's, you know, part and parcel of the very fabric of travel, where people very often today choose Uber over taxis because they like the product that's being offered. So any business has creative ideas, creative thinkers, and what you want to do during this phase is to get those ideas down on paper. And after you've done that, you can start to evaluate, and you can go back and you can look at the ideas that you've come up with, and you can put them in a matrix. And if the idea that you've thought about has a low difficulty, and it has a low benefit, you know, it could be a quick win, but it's not something that's going to sustain the business over time. What you want to do is you want to find something that's going to have a low difficulty factor, but a high benefit, because that's going to be where you're going to find the diamond in the rough, where you're going to find the idea out there that really is far and away better than the others that are out there. And so quick wins, you know, they're useful. They provide tangible progress while extra effort solutions are implemented. But as I mentioned, they don't sustain the business over time. And this matrix is suitable for ideas that are simple to evaluate. And so it's very simple that you sit down and you take a look at the idea that you have that you want to implement. You take a look at it from a difficulty perspective, then you take a look at it from a benefit perspective, and you begin to see that some of the ideas have high benefit, but they're very difficult to implement. Doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means it's going to take extra effort to do it. If they have low benefit and they have a high difficulty, you want to avoid those because you're just not going to get the return on investment that you hope to get. The control phase, the key elements of the control phase is to ensure that the problem stays solved and that the new methods can be further improved. This is the part where you're going to, hopefully you've been doing this all along, but especially during this phase, you want to look back and you want to document. You want to document what the work was that you did as you moved through all the different phases. You want to document how you're coming up with your metrics to measure the business. You want to document your ideas and how you came up with those ideas. It's also a time of process standardization. You may be finding that you're doing different processes depending on the customer. A different customer may require a different process than another customer. Well, that can be, over time, can become inefficient. Yes, it's customized, and yes, the customers appreciate it, but from an efficiency perspective, it can become very expensive way to run a business if you have to customize your process for every customer that's out there. So introducing standardization can help and help the business run more smoothly. This is the phase where you do process monitoring. You can envision, again, if you're on a manufacturing conveyor belt and you're making chocolates and you're seeing the chocolates come out of the machine. Well, you're monitoring those for quality and defects all the time, and you see if there's changes that need to be made to the process, you're making processes. Well, that can hold true within marketing as well. You're marketing the process that you're going through and how you are prospecting for business and how you are selling yourself out there, what the value proposition you're putting in front of your clients is. And there's process control. Again, if there's need to change something, this is the phase where you can go in and you can change it. And you go through continuous improvement. When you're done with this phase, you're actually not done. What you're done is you're then moving into another phase of the business and starting the methodology all over again. Because there may be a new business issue that's come on that you want to pay attention to. And so it's a cycle. It's a cycle of process where you start out with define, move to measure, analyze, improve, and control. And here's a chart you can use as part of the control phase, where you start to look for differences in the data that you're collecting. Maybe there's a sales decline, and there may be some common causes for it. Again, we could be in a recession, could be an overall business environment is down. There could be special causes, and you need to look into and see what would be a special cause that's causing the downturn in business. You could take action based on an observed difference. You could analyze the root cause. You could decrease the variation. You could study all the data. It helps you to understand the process, and it shows the big picture. And you can improve the process. You can, because it decreases variation and creates a long-term solution and sustainability. So a lot of analysis all through the processes, all through the methodology, because that gives you at any given time your current state and how close are you to reaching your future state. So in the end, in conclusion, the DMAIC methodology is a process that takes you from a current state, for instance, low sales, moves you to a future state, for instance, high sales, that lasts as long as it takes you to move through the 5 phases of design, measure, analyze, improve, and control. So people wonder, how long does it take to move through one of these projects that I set up? It really depends on your business. It really depends on the processes you have in place right now and what your business environment is and what your pain points are. But if you give yourself, 3 to 4 weeks to define and measure the business, and then another 3 to 4 weeks to analyze, improve, and control, that can, a good solid month to 2 months will give you, it will put you on the pathway of improved results. Because remember, at the end, if you work through this methodology, you're going to understand exactly why you're succeeding, and you're going to understand, or if you fail, you're going to understand exactly why you failed. And that's the real benefits of the DMAIC methodology. Okay, here's our great free offer for you, for those that have lasted to the end here. If you're looking to implement the DMAIC methodology in your marketing planning, send me an email. And in the email, just send me a template in the subject line, and I'll send you a project charter template and free monitoring through SCORE to get you up and running and stay with you as long as you would like. It's once you've worked through this methodology and you see the benefit coming out the other end, you will use it over and over again. And it can be used, again, beyond marketing. It can be used in whatever processes you have in place within your business right now. With the DMAIC methodology, it's all about using database scientific methods to hit a bullseye within your addressable market every time. All right, that is my prepared remarks, but we would love to open it up for your questions. You've received a lot of information today. We'd love to hear your feedback and any questions that you would have.
You can put the question in chat, or you may use the raise hand icon, and I will turn on your mic and you can ask your question out loud. Give you a few minutes to think through what you might want to ask. And I have put in the chat the link where you can find the recording for today's presentation. I should have it up by Monday, so you can watch it again if you like. Okay, Ra, I think you did a thorough job. Nobody has any questions.
Very good. Well, thank you everyone for attending today. Again, that offer, send me an email, say send me a template. I'd be happy to. I'd be happy to help you get up and running and work with you going forward.
All right. Have a great weekend,
Thanks for
everybody.
having me.